Alrighty. What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Byrdman. About to review some race footage. A little breakdown, if you will. A little race breakdown. And see what we got here. We shall be... Let's make sure everything's good. We're going to be looking at my F4 Skip Barber F4 race at NJMP Lightning. I went from 10th place to 3rd place, starting all the way in the back. I made a mistake in qualifying, and I ended up getting penalized. And I had to start in the back because of that. But all is well with the world because we are going to review this footage and see what we got. So this is just the warm-up, I believe. This is just a reconnaissance lap because they give us 2 laps around the track to reconnaissance. And I shall fast forward just a little bit so you can see us. Not bunched up yet, still warming up, going around the lap. I'll just go through the lap with you real quick, the track. We got turn 1, right off the front straight, boom. Pretty fast right-hander, you don't brake very hard for it. And you have to brake decently because you need to get slowed down enough. It's a little bit of an off-camber exit, so you go into turn 2 almost flat out. You're flat out turning in, then you lift a little bit just to get the car rotated, and then you're turning in for turn 3 right here. Have to get really close to that exit on the right hand side so you're setting up well for turn 4. Want to get all over that curb, eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner all day long. You're setting up, you're trying to exit, and then you get back over to the left as soon as possible to set up for turn 5. And yeah, so that's what we're doing here, and then you're exiting turn 5. This is probably, what, like turn 6? Just a really long right-hander. Not an actual turn, as most people would put it, but you're definitely turning the wheel, so it's not as bad as Road America with its non-turns. Yeah, braking fairly hard. This is the hardest brake zone, turn 7. And left-hander, track out all the way, use all the curb that you can, and then you're just going down all the way until, well, I guess is turn 8, turn 9, turn 10. It's sort of like a double apex turn. You can be wide. It's banked. It's sort of like an oval, and you just gotta carry as much momentum and speed through it as possible. You don't have to brake if you don't want to, but if you want to carry a tighter line through the corner, you definitely have to brake a little bit. So I'm in first gear right now. Doesn't seem to be working. I'm top of the rev limiter, so I'm just going to switch to second gear real quick and start the race that way. So here I am, 10th place. I think there's a guy on my inside, but let me make sure the resolution's top notch. Yes, it is. I think there's someone on my inside, and I'm starting 10th place, so 5th row on the outside. Just waiting for that green flag to drop. You'll see the whole thing is waiting for this guy's arm to just the second his elbow goes to wave the green flag, the second he does that, you want to just punch it, especially if you're the leader. You want to get as good of a start as you can. But I'm just waiting for them and the leaders. So boom, we're going. And that was an unfortunate start. It wasn't as optimal as it could have been. So what happens here is I see the leaders going, but the 6 car reacts sort of slow, and I'm already going to come up to him. So I get off of the gas. I actually get on the brake a little bit and pop to the outside to make sure I don't hit him. But then when I did that, I killed all my momentum, and now we're just drag racing. I'm not getting any ground on them, which was unfortunate. But I think there's at least one person on my right side that I passed already, so I'm already in 9th place at this point. And try to, yeah, so he's on my inside right now. I take the outside lane. Now turn car number 3, he's done for at this point. And now I'm seeing, so he actually checks up the car number 6 on the inside. He checks up, I take full advantage, go around the outside, and I might be pausing and stopping a little bit because it's good action. And I take the line away, so now I'm up to 8th place, I believe. I think I've secured 2 positions at this point. Car number 12, I had some contact with him in practice. It was completely my fault, but let's see if we can pass him cleanly this time around. Pop out to the inside, of which will be a hard braking left-hander, and get side by side, almost side by side under the brakes. And I try to give him enough room. I go out a little wide of the apex, not ideal. I should have braked a little bit harder, but I wanted to get by him as soon as possible, give myself the best chance possible to move forward in the race. And I slowed down significantly because I saw in my mirrors you can see, in my mirrors you can see how he's actually gone off track right there. So he actually went off track. I didn't force him off the track because I did leave a lane on the outside for him, but unfortunate that was the case for him. This car pops out to my inside because he's trying to get on the inside going into this turn, and I have none of it. I just carry as much speed as possible. He immediately tucks back in behind me, and that way I just carry all the entry speed in the world. That guy has to risk a lot if he wants to get past me. It's my job to make that as bad of an idea as possible. Every 5 minutes or so, the video is going to cut out, and it's going to skip about 10 seconds of the footage because that's just how my Cambox V4 Pro records. I'm trying to figure that issue out, but yeah. So now we're up to, I want to say 7th place at this point, maybe 6th place. I think I might be up to 6th place at this point, which means I have 3 more people to pass in order to get to my 3rd place finishing position. And set up well for that turn. This is 4th gear corner, and at this point I'm just trying to run this guy down. And that corner has given me so much trouble over the course of the week at that point. The whole day before I was having trouble with it. Went off at least twice in that corner. Made contact in that corner with that number 12 car, like I said. And yeah, not a good corner, not a lot of confidence going into the race for me there. But braking hard, trying to get that nice little rotation, that being on that limit of the tires and the grip available, and just carry as much speed as possible into this. Right now I'm not quite in the draft, so I'm not getting any sort of aero wash that would be pushing my nose out, but that is what's happening there. So now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I am in 6th place at this point, I'm pretty sure. A little bit of an early apex there, not quite ideal. Carried a good amount of speed over the corner, not as much as the leaders would be. But that's the whole challenge of this sort of racing, is being on the limit every single corner, every single moment, taking advantage of all the track, everything that there is to be had. Take it and run with it. So slowly gaining on this guy in front of me. Do not want to get on that inside curb right there. It's all tire spin, wheel spin. Doesn't help you with any sort of grip or traction on the track, so it's just not worth it. You can see I'm a little bit closer to him this time around than I was last time. Just slowly chopping away. A little 10th here, a 10th there. And now I'm well into the slipstream at this point, so I'm actually getting a little bit of a draft from him, I think, because you can see the camera, I was getting buffeted way more from the turbulence in the car in front of me. And just trying to carry as much speed as possible. Right-hander, hug to the inside, hug to the outside, I guess you would say. Left-hander, track out, move all, get ready. I actually didn't get over as far to the left as I should have right there to set up for that corner, make it more optimal. I'm slowly tracking this guy down. And I see that car in front of me locked up his brakes, and now I'm right behind this guy. I know if I'm gonna be right behind him in this corner, it's an aero heavy corner, which means you don't want to be right behind him, and that's why I offset myself. I was about to say I did not offset myself at all, but about mid-corner I offset myself just half the car's width, so I can get some aero on my front wing, get some turning. That way I'm not burning up my tires as much as I otherwise would be. Now I'm well in the draft. If I went for the move right there, that's a late move. That is not something you want to be doing. But I am right behind him now, so I can go for the move. Let me rewind a little bit, because I think that guy might have gotten a blue flag. Nope, he did not get anything. Okay, so he just defended to the inside, and that's really all he did. So now he knows I might have to run. He's protecting the inside move, so now I'm just going to go on the outside and leave him a little bit of room on the inside, but I know I have the corner, I have the speed. It's my corner at that point. I'm going to full send it, and it's up to him whether or not he wants to risk trying to hold that inside line. If he does, so be it. I'd probably adjust accordingly, but I'd make that outside move fairly easily after getting a really good run out of turn 1. So now it's a matter of just running down these guys in front of me. It's just grinding out those perfect laps, or as perfect as you can get it. That was not that good of a corner. I think I turned in a little bit too early. It was clean, it was clinical, but it wasn't fast. It wasn't fast. And that's what you need in order to be winning these sorts of races. Now this guy you can see in the mirror, I think you could see a little bit, a glimpse of him. He's a little bit further behind me at this point. He might actually be right behind me. See little glimpses. No, that's my rear wing. Yeah, so he's a little ways behind me. I've made up some ground on him. Carried a good amount of speed over that corner, over turn 1, onto the exit. And downshift for 4th. There's the 10-second little skip. Nothing important there that was skipped, fortunately. That's happened before where something important has been skipped. But brake hard at the 3 board. I could probably brake a little bit. Yeah, just a clean corner. I mean, I'm not really taking that corner quite on the limit, but clean corner. You can see all 4 of the cars ahead of me. They're still like running one after the other. There's a solid little train going on there, and it's hopefully the case is that they're battling with each other and I can catch up to them. And the more they battle, the faster I close down on them, the more I'm in the battle myself. And if I have the pace, then I'll pass them and I will make up ground. Hard brake at the 2 board. Not the best idea to go over that inside curb. It sort of unsettles the car. You can't carry as much speed as you otherwise would probably want to. But just really trying to not make any mistakes. Because you make, I mean, I'd rather be 3/10 slow on the lap from the leader, but 5/10 faster a lap compared to 3rd, 2nd, 4th, and do that consistently lap after lap. You can see he locked up his brakes again going into that corner. So now I know this guy's having trouble with this hard braking zone in turn 7. Whatever it might be, he's probably holding on to the brake a little bit too long, overslowing the entry. I highly doubt it's his initial brake pressure, because it's really hard to get these tires to lock up under initial braking. But you can see I'm not even on that inside curb for that apex, and it's because if I was, I would just be unnecessarily pinching down the car's momentum, trying to keep it right, and that's not going to help anyone. So hard brake at the 2. Still going over the curb, but I carry a bit more speed. Left side tires almost off of the curb. That's how you know you're using up all the track, and that's how you should be driving the car. Hold it down. Use up that curb you want all day long. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's a phrase I learned from my driver coach and friend, Trent Walco. He was my former, one of the mentors in the Lucas Oil School of Racing, but now we're teammates in F2000. Anyways, brake hard at the 3. I was a little bit better of an apex. Didn't get that inside curb. I think I carried a bit more speed through that corner. and got a better exit as a result. As you can see, I'm slowly, like, the leaders, the front two are sort of gaining from these two in front. I think this is a probably good situation for me, because that means they're losing the draft of first and second place, and at that point, third and fourth become a lot more attainable as potential passes, as I'm catching up to them and they're losing the draft in front of them. So let's see how I close down in on them. I'm just going to watch the entire race through, because I like watching everything, sort of reviewing everything, critiquing everything. I could fast forward through it until I catch up to them, but that's just not very fun. And yeah, pretty good corners, just driving nice and methodically, try not to make any mistakes. I know I have a long road ahead of me. Again, another lockup under the brakes. I don't know if he's trying to pass the guy in front of him. I kind of highly doubt it. I think he's just trying to brake probably later than he should be, and he's having to hold on to the brakes a little bit too long because he's just not wanting to brake a little bit earlier. Squeeze back onto the throttle and track out all the way, not binding up the car's momentum, not binding up the engine's translation of power to the tires. And I don't think the guy ever gave the halfway sign, but I think we're about halfway at this point. Almost went off of the track right there. I think I might have actually dropped like a tire, which should come in. You should technically come in for a tire drop in the series, because they want to check out the car and make sure it's all good. It's a school series after all, so the priority is safety and not necessarily your whatever you assess as the risk versus reward in dropping a tire. And as you can see, I'm actually gaining a lot of ground on these guys, and I'm already here. This guy's struggling. He's sort of falling off the pace a little bit. I'm catching up to him way faster than I was in previous laps. Well, what actually happened there was that was a lapped car that we were all lapping collectively. He was well off the pace, and right there I just passed him on the inside. Going into this corner, he gave me all the room in the world, and as you can see, he's behind me now, so boom, right there behind me in my rearview mirrors. It probably served to slow these guys down in front of me a little bit. I might have lost more time from him trying to pass him than they did, so that's always the risk. Almost went off again, just a little wide of the apex. Not ideal. Not ideal at all. Might be a little annoying, but as you can see, I just carry a little bit too much speed. I'm not turned as much as I should be at the apex. By the time I get to the apex, I'm not turned looking at the angle I need to for the exit, so I just had to counter steer and try to save the car as much as I can. But I know I'm really trying to catch up to these guys, since I know I'm running out of time. At this point, I only have 10 minutes left, and that's 10 minutes on these. It's actually about a minute, a little over a minute per lap, but that's 9 laps, so you have to make up a lot of ground in 9 laps. Try to pass them. That might take a couple of laps, so you always have to plan ahead, assess your driving versus what needs to be done, and try to make compromises. That was a pretty good corner out of me. Good exit. Slightly wide of the apex, but that wasn't exactly terrible. I still carried a lot of speed. Could be slightly optimized, but oh well. Nice little exit there. As soon as that red light comes up on the dash, boom, upshift. No hesitation. And that was a lot more conservative of a corner. So that's what happens when you make mistakes, is you psych yourself out. You start slowing up corners where originally you were doing fine. You try to take a little bit more of a bite out of it, and it ends up hurting you in the form of mega oversteer and trying to stay out of the grass so that you don't get black flagged and happen to the pits and it ruins your race. So make a mistake like that, it sort of ruins your your psyche a little bit, and then you end up overslowing the corner the next time around. But I quickly realized that that's what I did. I overslowed the corner, so now I'm trying to make it up on other parts of the track where originally I might have been a little less, a little softer on the brake pedal and slower with the hands, but I'm trying to make up ground. It's go time. I feel like I'm making up ground on this guy slowly but surely. And I realize mistakes are not on the agenda for the evening. A little bit better. Got a little bit of a wiggle. That might have been unbalanced, or that could have been me being a little more on the limit. Either way, it was a better corner than before, so I'm getting my confidence back in turn 1. Just really need to be careful. It's easy to drop a tire on the exit of 4, set up 5. Get nice early rotation. You want to use that compression going up the hill as much as you can to really turn the car and get back to the power and really use as little brake as possible. Boom, there it is. Another locked up brake. I know that's losing in time. That's losing in a lot of time. And whenever, every single time he locks up the brake and I don't, maybe that's another couple of tenths trying to catch up. You can see I'm on the limit, getting a little bit of oversteer, trying to carry as much speed as possible through the corner, and semi-successful doing it. Closer now than I ever have been to this 4th place guy. Currently in 5th place. Hard brake. Keep on using that inside curve. It's not really doing me many favors, but at this point it's all I know to do. It's what I know how to do consistently, and it's sort of like you kind of chalk that corner. It's about as good as it's going to get while I'm trying to focus and improve my other corners, which I feel like I might have a bit more to improve on. Carried a good amount more speed over that corner than I had in previous. Carried a little bit more momentum over the corner, was a little bit later to throttle, which is usually okay if you're carrying that initially high momentum. Looks like he's losing time in turn 7 for sure. And it could just be I think it's one of the guys who's coming from karting, a little bit of inexperience, might have been his first Formula Car race, and doesn't quite know how to get the Formula Car to the limit. Obviously he's doing a great job, but those little things, the experience that I've accrued up to this point definitely adds up and gives me an edge over the competitors when I've been in this car before. I've been in many different Formula Cars before. You can see he drops a tire right there, and I'm like, this guy's making mistakes. He's probably getting tired, honestly. I mean, going from karting to Formula Cars, it's definitely a lot different in terms of physicality. You're doing this for 30 minutes straight. I mean, well, maybe 25 minutes, but either way, it's longer than a kart race usually goes for. And unless if you're running shifter karts where there's a lot of G-forces, another brake lock, and I know this is my opportunity to pounce. He's still in the draft of the 3rd place car. You can see 2nd place is a little bit of a ways ahead. I'm trying to offset myself a little bit. He takes a narrower line. I try to get on the power as early as possible, get as good of a run down the front straight as I possibly can. And now I'm well in the tow, established towing at this point. I know there's no shot I'm going for a move right now, but I look for it, and he gives me room. He thinks I'm actually there, but I'm not. So he gets a little bit of a wiggle on the exit. Perfect opportunity to go for the move right here. And I think, let's look at this. I think he might have gotten a blue flag on the front straight. Maybe not. I don't think so. I don't think he did. But he might have. I think that was actually something that was happening. The guys in front of me were getting blue flags like, hey, there's a faster car behind you, you gotta let them pass. But that's really only if you're getting lapped. So a little bit of miscommunication from the flagger. But yeah, look on the inside. I know I'm not actually going to go for the move, but I look for it. He thinks I'm on the inside. He doesn't know where I am exactly. He doesn't know what his mirrors are telling him and how they translate to real-world positioning on the track. So he gives me a little bit too much room. He goes a little bit wide. Perfect opportunity to go up the inside. He gives me all the room in the world. Very much appreciated, good sir. And I have taken that position fairly convincingly. Sometimes you just gotta play those psychological games, those mind tricks, and get in their head, make them make mistakes, and you'll end up getting past them sometimes, as long as you don't do it too often. And that was quite a good turn, I would say. Got a little bit more rotation, a little bit more slip angle. You can always tell from the hands going the opposite direction of the turning that you're having to counter steer a little bit. That is usually a good indicator that you're on the limit. And I mean, you could be lowering the limit artificially, but usually if you have all the proper inputs beforehand, you're usually on the limit of the tires in that moment. And here we go. I actually wasn't on the curb that time. A little bit more settled. Probably got a little bit more confident back to the throttle. So now I'm really trying to catch this guy. I know I only have probably a maximum of a few minutes left. Another guy's behind me still, but I'm not making any mistakes anytime soon, so he's going to have a hard time passing me, especially since I was closing down on him all the laps before. The only thing that's probably keeping him relatively competitive is my toe, to some extent. But here, hard brake at the 3. Carry just that much more speed. Mid-corner on the entry. And that was a little rough of a mistake right there. Exiting that corner, I'm in 3rd gear. I upshift to 4th. And then I upshift again to 5th. Like, what am I doing? Am I stupid? That's hard, because now you're outside of the power band. None of the lights are even lighted up on the dash, which means you know you're outside of the power band, and you just lost all the torque coming out of that corner. So you give an opportunity for the guy to make behind you to make a move, and you lose ground on the guy in front of you. That's just a rookie mistake. There's no excuse for doing that. I'm sure the car got a little. I'd probably just, like, there was a bump. I had my hand still on the shifter. There was a bump. Boom, 4th gear. That's what I wanted to do, and then bump, lurch, whatever it is. Upshift again to 5th. Not what you want to do. See, and that's what I was doing. And that's just a side topic real quick. That's what happens as a racer when you're unconfident about carrying the speed that you are through the corner. When you're not confident in the car's ability to turn, this is what you do. What you end up doing, especially on high-speed corners, is you turn in too early. Like, what are you doing, Birdman? You turn in way too early. I'm already turning the wheel like that. I'm turning the wheel when I should be turning, like, maybe probably a full car length later I should be turning, and that's making me look at my angle. I'm going straight off the track. If I just kept my foot in it, I'm going straight off the track. But instead, what I have to do in order to not go off the track, because I don't have the angle for the exit, is I run over the curb, the inside curb. As I said, it already unsettles the car as it is, and I'm just off the gas. I have to be off the gas, and I've overslowed already, because otherwise I probably held onto the brake a little bit too long because I was scared about going off the track. And overall, when you're scared of carrying that higher speed, you try to carry that higher speed initially, you brake later, but you hold on to the brake for just a little bit too long, and you don't get that proper turning radius from the apex out, and I just come out of the corner slow. Obviously, I'm still a little bit faster than the guy in front of me, but those are like the little mistakes that add up when you don't have, say, experience on a track, if you don't have the confidence in the car, or even confidence in your own ability. So, something I need to clean up for the next race, and just racing going forward. It's just a common mistake is an early turn-in, and it's a human instinct, because if you're scared about going off the exit, your human instinct is to tell you, okay, we'll turn earlier, that way you can make the turn. Well, that's not how that works, because the earlier you turn in, the less of an exit you have. But in that situation, I was doing actually pretty good in turn 7 to turn in later and not crab in the corner. So I wait just a little bit longer. I probably could have waited maybe a little. No, I think this is probably a good turning point because it's a little bit off camber. But you can see I got to that inside curb where I got the wheel spin and I get a little bit slowed down. Lose a little bit of my momentum. If I had turned in just half a car length later, then it would have been ideal. I would have been able to carry more speed. Let me turn on my phone real quick. But yeah, I would have been able to carry more speed, and that is what happens when you're not staying disciplined in your driving. But I'm also really pumped up that I'm in 4th place at this point. I'm running down 3rd, and I have a chance, and it's not white flag yet, so you have an opportunity here, folks. And when you get a little bit too hyped and you start losing composure, lose what got you there in the first place, which is clean, good driving. And now I'm in this guy's toe. I'm in 4th place. This guy's in 3rd place. And I'm getting a good toe down the front straight. Do I go for the move? Of course not. Who would go for a move? That's a dive bomb and a half. Nobody wants to do that. That's just a recipe for disaster. Actually lose a little bit of speed behind him because I don't really know how it feels to drive right behind someone in that corner. I don't know how much aero wash to expect, so I probably overslowed just a little bit to be safe. And apparently I end the video there. Hello? That's not the entire video. Interesting. Well, let me get back to you on that real quick. There should be another video, and it's not there. Interesting. Why is that happening? Anyways, technical difficulties aside, I ended up passing for 3rd place on the final lap. Actually passing twice. One right before the white flag waved, and one coming to the checkered flag. I passed him on the outside, so same exact move, but I got by him in both situations. He got back by me on the white flag lap, and he gave me a run for my money in turns 2, 3. I went a little bit wide in turn 1, which is why he was able to get me back in turns 2, 3, and 4. And I had to run him back down again at the end of the white flag. I knew I could get back by him by the end of the front straight, as I can show you right here. No, a little bit too far. So I actually came out of this corner. White flag, this is his final lap, coming to the checkered flag. I'm right behind him, and he takes a similar line to who he is right now. I popped to his outside. I think I popped to his outside right now. So I popped to the outside lane, track out all the way. He's on the inside, trying to protect on the inside. I knew I could get the drag race done, and from this point on, I'll show you what actually happened in the racing scenario, which was 1, 2, and then you can see me drag racing for 3rd place, coming to the checkered flag right there. So I knew I could get the job done when it counted most, and I did, and I got by. So that was 3rd place to the checkered flag, barely half a car length in front of him, but I knew I could get it done since there was a good ways in front of me right here. There's a long ways to the start finish line, so I knew I could get the run and get out and pass him, at least get ahead of him by the time I get to the flag. So I knew it was all going to happen in my mind, and I got the checkered flag right there, but that was the lap before. But yeah, unfortunately we can get the entire race footage, but that's what happened. And I'm also going to be uploading race 2's breakdown, where I show you what happened on race 2 of the NJMP round at Skip Barber on the Lightning configuration, where I actually got 1st place. And it wasn't as quite as exciting as my 2nd place or 10th to 3rd run like this one was, but started 2nd place, finished 1st, and I'll show you how it all went down. So thanks for tuning in, guys. It's been your boy Byrdman, and I'm out. See ya.